The alarm didn't warn him, it accused him. A red word burned onto the screen, launch, and in that instant the system made its judgment. The United States had fired nuclear missiles. Not a drill, not a test, real. He had seconds to respond. If he reported it, millions would die. If he didn't, millions might die anyway. His hand moved toward the phone, then stopped, because something felt wrong. And in that hesitation, just a few seconds, hung the fate of the entire world. The room was buried deep inside a Soviet command facility, far from the outside world. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Rows of screens glowed in the darkness. Everything was controlled, calculated, predictable, until it wasn't. It was just past midnight when the system activated. A sharp, piercing siren erupted, slicing through the silence. Every head turned at once. Operators leaned forward, eyes locked onto their monitors, and there it was again. Launch. The satellite warning system, designed to detect nuclear attacks within seconds, was reporting incoming missiles. This was the exact moment the system had been built for. He sat at the center of it all. The duty officer, the one responsible for making the call, Stanislav Petrov. His role was brutally simple. If the system detected a launch, he reported it immediately up the chain of command. From there, everything would move faster than any human could stop. Retaliation, missiles, war. The system updated, one missile detected, then another, two. Seconds passed. The siren continued. 3. The room tightened. No one spoke, but everyone understood what they were watching unfold. 4. 5 incoming nuclear missiles. The system escalated its confidence level to maximum. According to every protocol, every layer of verification, every line of code ever written for this moment. There was no doubt, except there was. He stared at the numbers. 5. Just 5. It didn't fit. His training told him to trust the system. The machines were built to remove human error, to act faster than instinct, faster than emotion. In a nuclear war, hesitation could mean annihilation. Every second he delayed, he risked everything. But every second he acted, he might be triggering something irreversible. Behind him, voices began to rise. "Comrade, we must report." Of course they had to report. That was the entire point. But something was off. He couldn't explain it fully, not yet, but it was there, like a splinter in his mind. 5 missiles. If this were a real attack, it wouldn't be limited. It wouldn't be cautious. It would be overwhelming. Hundreds of warheads launched in a single devastating strike, designed to wipe out any chance of response. This felt wrong. Seconds passed. No confirmation from ground radar. That was the second crack. The satellites were screaming that missiles had been launched, but the radar operators, working independently, were seeing nothing. No objects, no trajectories, no incoming warheads. The system didn't care. It repeated its verdict, missile strike detected, confidence highest. His hand hovered near the phone. All he had to do was pick it up. That was it. One call. And the decision would no longer be his. It would move upward, to generals, to commanders, to political leaders who had been trained for exactly this scenario. They wouldn't hesitate. They couldn't afford to. He could end this uncertainty right now. Just follow protocol. Just trust the system. But then another thought crept in. Quiet. Dangerous. What if the system was wrong? It wasn't supposed to be wrong. It had layers of checks, dozens of verification steps. Each signal passed through multiple filters before reaching this room. The probability of error was almost zero. Almost. He focused on the details again. 5 missiles, no radar confirmation, perfect system confidence, too perfect. And then something clicked. Not certainty, not proof, just doubt. There was a possibility, small, technical, unlikely, that the satellites had misinterpreted something. Light, reflection, Atmospheric interference, signals that looked real, but weren't. It was rare, but not impossible. Seconds passed. The siren screamed. No confirmation, no impact, no clarity. Time was collapsing in on him now. Every second he waited reduced the response window. Every second brought them closer to a potential strike with no retaliation. And if he was wrong, if those missiles were real, they were already on their way. He felt it then, the weight, not of the room, not of the system, but of consequence. If I report this, the thought formed slowly, heavily, I might be starting a nuclear war. And if I don't... He didn't finish it. He didn't need to. His fingers twitched near the phone. He could feel every eye in the room on him now, waiting, expecting, trusting the system more than the man, because the system didn't hesitate, the system didn't doubt, the system didn't feel fear, but he did. Seconds passed. Still no radar confirmation, still no impact, still nothing. He made the decision. He reported it as a false alarm. The words came out steady, calm, almost detached. But inside there was nothing calm about it, because even as he said it, he wasn't sure. If I was wrong, millions would die. The system continued to insist. Missile strike detected. The siren refused to stop. The countdown, unseen but inevitable, continued. Minutes passed, long, unbearable minutes. Each second stretched into something heavier than the last. No one spoke, no one moved. They were waiting for the only confirmation that mattered. Impact, 5 minutes, nothing, 10, still nothing, 15. The tension didn't break. It twisted tighter, because maybe the timing was off. Maybe the missiles were slower. Maybe 20 minutes, 23. And then... nothing, no explosion, no shockwave, no war. The alarm stopped. The screen cleared. The word disappeared. It had been a false alarm. Later, they would discover the cause. The satellite system had been fooled by something almost absurd. Sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds, creating signals that looked exactly like missile launches. A perfect illusion. A perfect failure. He sat there, staring at the screen long after the noise had faded. The world was still intact. Cities still stood. Millions of people, completely unaware, continued their lives. And it all came down to a decision he wasn't even sure was right. In the days that followed, there was no celebration, no recognition, no reward. The incident was buried, quietly, carefully, because acknowledging it meant admitting something far more dangerous. The system could fail, and his role in it, that was even more uncomfortable. He was reprimanded, not for what he did, but for minor procedural errors, paperwork, technicalities. No medals, no headlines. He returned to a normal life, anonymous, unrecognized. Years later, the story would finally emerge. People would call him a hero. They would say he saved the world. But that wasn't how it felt, because he knew something they didn't. He hadn't known the truth. He hadn't seen the future. He hadn't been certain. He had doubted, and he had chosen. And somehow, he had been right. Or maybe just lucky, because on that night, in that room, with that alarm screaming and time running out, there was no guarantee, no safety, no second chance, only a man, a machine, and a decision that could have ended everything. The world never knew how close it came, how fragile that moment was, how easily it could have gone the other way. And maybe that's the most unsettling part, because history didn't turn on certainty. It turned on hesitation, on instinct, on doubt. They were lucky it was him. If you enjoy this kind of content, like the video and subscribe. It helps more than you think and keeps this project alive.